I'm standing outside the house where Walt Disney was born. The city of Chicago has declared it a landmark. Disney is someone of great importance to me. It was actually partially because of Disney that I moved to Chicago in the first place. I had read in one of the biographies that Disney had studied at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. I had the good fortune of being offered a scholarship, and I packed up my bags and left Arizona and headed straight for Chicago. I'm Brandon Kosters, and in this series, we'll explore the art of animation. It's not enough to have a strong work ethic. You also need a strong play ethic. If you become too uptight or too worked up, you're more likely to hesitate or make mistakes. Lighten up. Okay, tip number 1, lighten up. Tip number 2, as you're cultivating your artistic sensibilities, pay attention to your surroundings and pay particular attention to colors and shapes. For the purpose of drawing and painting, everything can be broken down structurally into simple shapes. And be mindful of color harmonies and how colors interact with each other. How do colors help communicate a sense of space? What do colors help communicate?
Transparent. Okay. Alright, let's make our background color. Okay, we'll do this sort of pale yellow. Okay, we're going to do another folder. We're going to call this jump. Inside jump, we're going to put a layer that we're going to title layout. And we're going to make our little triangle guy jump. Okay, so let's go over to colors. Let's select a nice blue. And let's just sort of chart out where the ground is, where our start and end point is going to be. Okay. So let's say triangle here. The beginning. And triangle's going to end up over here. Okay. Okay, and let's chart that arc of motion. Okay. So right in the middle here is where he's going to be scrunching up a little bit, and we'll have his little legs. Okay. So before he jumps, he's going to have to do what we call an anticipation mode. He's going to have to do it. Before he jumps, he's going to have to go into what we would call an anticipation pose. Now, an anticipation pose is precisely what it sounds like. It is the pose which anticipates a significant move. Okay? So, if a character is going to jump upwards, you have to sort of stop a moment. To make this believable, you have to think, what would you do as a person? What do the laws of physics dictate? Before you jump, you'd have to sort of haunch down, bear down on your feet, and prepare to propel yourself upward. So before this guy jumps, we're going to have him ease into a crouch. I'm going to try to keep his legs bent. Okay, taking some liberties there. And then he's going to shoot upward. And remember this stretch and squash principle that we were talking about? As he's extending upward, we'll sort of exaggerate how he becomes sort of elongated, but then he compresses. We want to keep the trajectory nice and clean. Okay? See how he's beginning to shift weight here? Okay. Okay. And this is where I would start to have him sort of bend the other way. And remember the anticipation? So just as there's an anticipation as he's about to propel himself forward, when he first makes contact with the ground, think about what you would do if you were jumping in real life. You'd sort of be on your haunches, right? And then you would stand up. Alright, so that sort of maps out the trajectory of that move. Let's start adding our layers. We'll click on Create Video Timeline. We'll click on this little ellipsis point down here. Let's click on 0.2 seconds. Let's add some frames. Let's go to the first image in the sequence, and let's turn off everything but our layout and our background color on that first image. Okay. Let's bring the opacity of the layout down. Now we want jump to be at max opacity. We want layout to be brought way down. Okay. All right. So over here, let's go red just to differentiate. Let's do a nice sort of. There we go. All right. Second one. And I'm just going to do the extremes for right now. But ideally you would want probably about 11 in-betweens, very, very subtle in-betweens in between the very first image and the anticipation pose itself, okay, just to make it look very fluid and very believable. Ease ins and ease outs, we call that, those series of 11 to 3,000 drawings that you have to do just to make something look more fluid before a significant movement or a more dramatic move occurs. So there's our first one. So then what we're going to do is we're going to check where we are in this process. So let's make him shooting up into the air now. let's sort of test what we have so far. See that? It goes down. Five. Okay. And we'll make the back sort of arch, like weights being shifted around. Okay, duplicate. Next layer here. Okay. Being mindful of the joints. I'm sort of not respecting the integrity of that leg. Part of the reason we draw with construction is so that we don't make mistakes like that. So be careful. Be careful. Okay. Okay, I'm going to have to make a whole bunch more of these. What do we have here? Just unselecting all of these layers. Okay, so that ends at layer 7. Let's add another image in the sequence. 8, drawing 8. Okay, that goes up. That's fine. Here we do the 10th image. I'm getting ready to land. Contact. Hold that for a couple frames. And now we're going to stand up. Okay. Oh boy. All right. So there's one. Now we just got to get this set up. That's held for a couple of frames. Anticipation pose. Holding it for 2 frames. He shoots up. He shoots up. Making sure I have everything set up here. 11. Oops, sorry. Now we're going to hold 11 for a couple of frames. And then he's going to stand at the very end. Oops, sorry. Okay, so let's look at that. Timing's a little ragged, but we can smooth that out. A lot of it's going to be just about determining how many drawings we need in between for that to look more fluid. But in terms of charting the overall sequence and motion, we've got it on paper, so to speak.